Melinda and HarperAudio Australia present this unabridged recording of The Cicada House, written by Ella Ward
and read by Hannah Fredrickson
and Jack Twelvetree. For Tom.
Chapter 1. The morning of Caitlin's birthday began with breakfast cheese. She was standing in the refrigerator's glow, in her knickers, eating a hunk of pecorino. The fridge's door alarm dinged, but the cheese contained tiny flecks of truffle, so she ignored it. If Paul were home, he would have yelled from the office by now, "Caitlin, fridge!" But he wasn't. So she ate the expensive cheese at her own pace, and only closed the door when the alarm became hysterical. When her husband was away for work, the house was hers. This meant it became a little messier, slightly noisier, and considerably less filled with the things her husband bought, like light bulbs and toilet paper and breakfast cereal. Caitlin turned from the fridge, flicked a crumb of cheese from her t-shirt, and looked out to their little patch of London. It was winter. The watery light filtered itself through the small maple tree Paul had planted in their modest backyard a decade earlier, or paid someone else to plant. Dark stones paved a way from the kitchen door to a marble bench beneath the tree. A pigeon cooed from the stock brick wall. It should have looked idyllic. It just looked damp. Despite having nearly a lifetime of them, Caitlin just couldn't get into the spirit of a British winter. As far as she was concerned, it would be another 3 months until anything outside could resemble happiness. Until then, the outdoors was simply something to be withstood. Caitlin and Paul had lived in this North London terrace for almost as long as they'd been married. It was a narrow house, dark in the winter, cool in the summer. Sometimes it felt like it had more stairs than rooms. Nevertheless, it was a calm place. The walls held oil paintings of tree-whipped landscapes, gifted from Paul's father. Lacquer-licked furniture lined the halls, care of Paul's grandparents. Caitlin hadn't contributed much to the home beyond paying half the mortgage and keeping the cheese supply up. But despite her lack of influence over the interior, she still liked spending time in it, which was lucky, as Paul's work took him travelling at least half of every month. And this was why today she was birthdaying alone. Soon there would be a bouquet of flowers, by the way of Dubai, sitting on their front step. After wrapping up her breakfast picnic, Caitlin went back upstairs. Wiping the shower fog from the mirror in their little ensuite, she pulled her cheeks around with her fingers like she was moulding silly putty. Caitlin didn't pay much attention to how she looked. Her face was just something she'd inherited. And as her grandmother Dot had once told her, "You're a pretty girl. The sooner you ignore your looks, the better." Even so, Caitlin was heading into the office today, so she brought out her dusty makeup bag and worked through the template of 4 products she'd been using for 20 years. When that ritual was complete, she moved her hands through her fair hair, a bit uneasy there wasn't more of it. She'd recently fallen into an ill-advised haircut, one shorter than she'd ever had. Paul hadn't been too sure, pulling a face as he walked in from the airport one afternoon. "What happened?" he'd asked, like the haircut had been an attack rather than an appointment. "I thought I'd try something different." "Bloody hell," Paul had said through a laugh. Caitlin had quietly admonished herself for ignoring her grandmother's advice. She figured she could squeeze in a call to her grandfather before she left the house. Caitlin rang Bill once a week, on a Thursday. Her grandfather liked routine. That today was her birthday didn't occur to her, and wouldn't to him. "Hey up!" Caitlin wondered if she'd pick up the phone to everyone like that, and then quickly remembered that she was the only person who called him. "Hello, Grandad," she said it louder than she had last week, when he'd hung up in the middle of her sentence, grumbling about goblins on the line. "Hey up, Caitlin." Every week he spoke with a little more breath and a little less voice. She wondered how long he'd be alive for. 89 years old. Last month she'd received a call from the care home's manager, and there was a tight second before answering when she thought to herself, well, this is it then. It was in the next minute, while Mrs. Chandra had outlined some changes to Bill's medication.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?